Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today for Lawn Fawn, and I'm so excited to be sharing this beach scene card with you featuring lots and lots of new dies from the Lawn Fawn summer release. I am really excited to share this cute card featuring the Scallop Treat Box Beach House add-on as a component on my card rather than using it for the Scallop Treat Box. I love taking those treat box add-ons and incorporating them into card designs. I'm also using the tropical backdrop, which I've die cut from smooth white cardstock and also from the Lawn Fawn paper bag cardstock. From the Lawn Fawn paper bag cardstock, I'm going to trim off that bottom sand edge and ink it up with a blending tool and the Lawn Fawn dough ink to give it a little depth and dimension. I pre-die cut all of my components off camera to save a little time today. I've also trimmed a background sky panel from Lawn Fawn Mermaid cardstock to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to take the Lawn Fawn Fish Tank ink and a blending tool and add some color to my background to give that sky a little bit more depth and dimension. A lot of this is going to be covered up, but it will help give the sky a little bit added interest. I'm going to go ahead and take the Lawn Fawn glue tube and glue my beach or the sand there along the bottom edge of the tropical backdrop frame. I've die cut 2 water or ocean borders using the new Stitched Simple Wavy Borders dies. I've die cut one from Blue Jay and one from Peacock cardstock, layered those and adhered them directly to our mermaid background. Today I'm going to be adding shading to my die cut pieces with colored pencils. I've used Copic markers in the past, but I haven't ever really used colored pencils, and I absolutely love the results. I did this first palm tree off camera to make sure that I was going to like it, and I'll do the other ones on camera so you can see the technique. It's super quick and easy. I didn't do a ton of shading or blending or anything like that. Instead, I wanted to keep those colored pencil lines in the design so you could really see the texture. I'm going to take a brown Polychromos colored pencil and simply kind of just pull out some little lines from one side of the tree trunk with a very sharp pencil. I like to keep a pencil sharpener handy so that I can sharpen it constantly while adding this texture to my die cut pieces. After I've got the brown added, I'm going to take a gray pencil, and especially right where those little notches in the tree trunk are, I'm going to add a little additional detail. I'm not going to go overboard with the gray. Instead, just kind of use that to darken or deepen a couple of those areas. Next, I'm going to take the top of the palm tree and a green colored pencil, and from the die cut centers of each leaf, I'm going to pull out with little lines. I'm sorry that this is in the bottom part of the frame and got cut off a little bit. I did pull it up a little higher, so hopefully you can see I'm just simply pulling out little lines from the center of each. We aren't going to add any additional shading or blending to this at all. Instead, we're going to let the colored pencil lines really add the detail to these palm trees. I absolutely love how this looks and how much detail it adds to a scene card. I've glued my palm tree then in place on the left side of the card, and I'm going to finish the last palm tree as well. All of these layering pieces come with the tropical backdrop. I love this frame die. I love the little building and scene building you can get with all of the incredible Lawn Fawn backdrops. We're going to do the same thing that we did for the larger palm trees with this small one. And you can see I sharpened my pencil partway through. Anytime I start to think that the little lines are not as crisp as I like, I'll just sharpen that pencil so that I get that great detail. Now, because this palm tree is a little smaller than the others and it needs to appear to be in the background, I really should have adhered this one first, but I was still able to kind of move it into place and tuck it back behind the larger tree. You can start seeing that frame and the scene start to take place. From some Lawn Fawn wood grain cardstock, I did trim a shape, kind of a squarish shape or rectangular shape from the white wood grain that I'm going to use as the base of my house. Since we're not using the scalloped treat box, I just simply trimmed one down to fit the roof of this little beach house here. I've also trimmed, or pardon me, die cut the roof of the house from Blue Jay and Peacock cardstock, and then trimmed apart the stripes on the Blue Jay and layered them over the Peacock roof so that I could have a two-tone roof. I liked the added interest of this, and it was really quick and easy to do. Something that I did for the roof that I think really made a huge difference. All of these little things we're going to add shading to on the house makes a big difference to the scene. I am adding shading with my Polychromos colored pencils, a dark blue for the Blue Jay, and then a couple of shades of aqua or turquoise for the Peacock. And this just really adds that shading and interest to the roof. And I love how it ended up. I didn't overblend. I really just kind of went around the edges mostly. I'll go ahead and adhere that roof to my beach house. And there's what the little door is going to look like. So we'll go ahead and take some gray colored pencils and add detail to the door. I'm concentrating the majority of my shading around the edges of the die cut piece and any little die cut lines. So the little panels in the door, I added a dark gray, and then I did go back with a lighter gray just to kind of soften that and blend out a little additionally. We will be adding the anchor to that door to give it a little fun detail. The door was die cut from Lawn Fawn Narwhal cardstock. These little sand pieces are one of my favorite things about the card because I think they add a lot of texture and interest along the bottom edge. These were die cut from Lawn Fawn paper bag cardstock. I'm using a couple of shades of brown to add shading to these. I forgot to mention when I was doing the palm trees, those were die cut from Lawn Fawn Chocolate Bar and Noble Fur cardstock. This little log that the seagull stands on is also super fun. I love that other than the frame and then one little teeny tiny embellishment that I'm adding, everything for this scene, at least the focal point front part of the scene, is from that scalloped treat box beach house add-on. We've got some waves and some clouds, but really almost everything on this card is from a single die set or two die sets. The little tufts of grass ended up being one of my very favorite parts of this card. I think they add a great little pop of color and interest along the sandy beach. These were die cut from Lawn Fawn Cilantro cardstock and again shaded with a couple of colors of green colored pencils to give them texture. You can really start to see the house take shape with all of these great little details. My seagull is going to be colored with, or was die cut, pardon me, from Smooth White cardstock and Narwhal cardstock. We'll add shading to the wing with some gray marker or colored pencils. I'm going to skip to the window really quick. I did die cut the base of the window from Narwhal cardstock and added shading with my gray pencils. I really didn't have to add shading to those areas out on either side of the window frame, as that's where the shutters are going to go. I had kind of forgotten, and so I was just coloring away, enjoying my shading, but you really wouldn't have to add that if you're going to add the shutters to your window. I've layered this over the piece that was die cut from sunflower cardstock because I wanted it to appear that some light was shining through the house, like maybe a light was on in front of the window. The shutters were die cut from Blue Jay cardstock and adhered to either side. They add a ton of cute character to this window. We'll go back to our seagull really quick now and finish by adding some orange to the beak and then some orange and gray to the legs. I will also take my gray markers around the edges of the seagull to add that great texture. Because this is the only critter on my card, everything else is really just the scene or scene building elements. I really worked to make sure that he is super cute and embellished. He's going to be kind of a focal point as he is going to be popped up with the frame standing on the log in front of this adorable little beach house. The eye will die cut out. However, I left it in place. It kind of had just stuck there when it die cut, and I purposely left it there because I will back the seagull with foam adhesive so that it stays in place and add black gel pen for the eye. The additional little die cut piece is this little trio of coconuts from the new Hammock and Trees dies. I felt like it worked with this design perfectly. It's sized perfectly to work with the palm trees here on the frame. So I die cut one of those so that I could just add it in over there along the right side of the card. I even used a little white pencil to add additional detail to that. I'm ready to start gluing it all together now. So I've got little grass pieces, my little piles of sand, those coconuts. We're going to just build everything up here on the front, then glue our house all together and glue that down, and then do the finishing details, which is always the part that brings it all together and makes a scene card like this, especially an all die cut scene card, really shine. The door on the house will open if you want it to, which I think for the scallop treat box especially would be really, really cute. Because I didn't need it to open for this card, I simply glued it all down in place on my little custom house. The life preserver is out of red and white. So this is chili pepper and smooth white cardstock layered. It was the only pop of red on the card, which I always love a little pop of red. So I will die cut my banner for my greeting from red cardstock to kind of tie it all together and finish it off nicely. Here's that black glaze pen on the eye, and it really makes the cute seagull come to life. I die cut the banner from the Fancy Folded Banners die collection. We're using the smallest banner from this die collection and then stamping sentiments from the brand new Smooth Sailing stamp set right on that banner with the Lawn Fawn clear embossing ink. I'm stamping "You Are My Anchor," and then I will sprinkle on some white embossing powder and heat set that. The red of this banner is the perfect complement and really stands out against all the pretty blues and greens of the background of this card. I always like to die cut these banners, stamp them with the sentiment I want to use, and then fold them on the score lines before adhering to my card. I'm going to use a combination of glue dots and some foam adhesive. I'm using the glue dots to hold the folded score lines down flat, and then I will use foam adhesive over the entire back here to make this pop up over my little beach house roof. I'll find the perfect spot to position this and then go ahead and press that down in place. These great little clouds, I felt like I needed just a little something else in the background of my card. These are the Puffy Clouds dies, die cut from smooth white cardstock and glued in place. Now we're going to put foam adhesive on the back of our tropical backdrop frame. I'm using this really thin foam adhesive, and I'm making sure to add it to the palm trees, the back of the palm trees as well, so everything lies nice and flat and that they don't dip down after, repeated handling or being sent through the mail. This is going to ensure that the whole frame pops up and has that great dimension that we all love. We'll peel off the backing paper and then pop this right down, and the scene is just coming to life. I absolutely think this is so much fun. Imagine doing this with any of the Scallop Treat Box add-ons, the Christmas, the Halloween, the spring Easter. There are so many ways to incorporate those into your card making, not just your gift giving. The seagull was adhered with the foam adhesive then, standing on the log. And we're going to start with finish with all those little details that just finish off the card perfectly. So some white pin detail for the seagull and also in the window. White and stardust glitter pin detail along the sand to help give it that sandy texture. We'll glue this in place on a white side fold card front. And then take some glossy accents to the beak of the seagull, the anchor on the door, and I did even add some to the windows, the yellow part of the windows, so that it looked like a glass pane when dry. I have a fine tip applicator on the glossy accents, which makes it easy to apply to these small die cuts. We're going to finish by adding foam to one of the waves in our ocean with a white pin. And I'm just going to go in and add lots and lots of little dots all over here. And I love how that ended up. As I was finishing up the card, I discovered my final little piece of grass here. So I did add some quick shading to that and glued it in place along the left edge of my card. It was hiding underneath those colored pencils. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this beach scene card featuring brand new stamps and dies from Lawn Fawn. The supplies I used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel to never miss a card making or paper crafting video. Here are a couple more videos featuring Lawn Fawn stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.